Number 1. The movie tourniquet. In every action movie, a hero gets shot in the arm, and their heroic friend immediately slaps on a tourniquet, twisting it tight until the bleeding stops. It looks dramatic and effective, but in real life, a tourniquet is a last resort, not a first aid go-to. You've been trained by Hollywood to think it's the immediate solution to any limb wound, and that mindset could get you killed. Applying a tourniquet stops all blood flow to the entire limb. Leave it on for too long, even just an hour or two, and the tissue starved of oxygen and nutrients will start to die. We're talking permanent nerve damage, muscle death, and potential amputation. This isn't a small side effect. It's what the tourniquet is designed to do. They're meant for massive, life-threatening hemorrhages, the kind that would otherwise cause a person to bleed out in minutes. The vast majority of puncture wounds or gashes do not require this extreme measure. The best and safest approach is to apply firm, direct pressure to the wound with a clean cloth. But the tourniquet myth is so pervasive that it's often the first thing people think of, completely bypassing a simpler, safer, and more effective solution in favor of a dramatic one. Number 2. Sucking out snake venom. You've seen this one in old westerns and adventure films. Someone gets bitten by a rattlesnake, and their brave partner immediately gets down on their knees, slices open the wound with a knife, and sucks out the poison. The hero spits the venom onto the ground, a little victory in the fight for survival. This is a terrifyingly effective way to make a bad situation catastrophically worse. For starters, you have a mouthful of bacteria. You're introducing all those germs into an open wound, which is a perfect recipe for a serious infection. Second, slicing open the bite isn't just unnecessary. It can cause more tissue damage, increase bleeding, and make the wound much harder for a doctor to treat later. And finally, the venom itself. Sucking it out is largely ineffective, as the venom is quickly absorbed into the tissue. The tiny amount you might manage to extract isn't worth the risk of getting some into your own bloodstream through a cut or sore in your mouth. The venom isn't just going to magically dissolve when it hits your stomach acid either. The best advice for a snakebite is to keep the affected limb still and below heart level and get to a hospital as fast as you can. Number 3, punching a shark. If you've ever seen a nature documentary or a movie with a shark attack, someone, somewhere, has probably told you that the key to survival is to punch the shark in the nose. The logic is simple. The nose is sensitive, and you'll stun the beast long enough to get away. This is a myth born of desperation and a fundamental misunderstanding of shark anatomy. The shark's nose is not some magic reset button. It's an extremely dense area of cartilage and bone, surrounded by nerves. Punching it is like punching a wall. You're more likely to break your hand or wrist than to inflict any serious damage on the shark. And even if you do land a good shot, it's not going to scare off a creature that's literally designed to rip things apart. A shark's true vulnerability isn't its nose, it's its gills and its eyes. Striking a shark's gills will cause it pain and discomfort, and a hard poke to its eye will cause it to retreat. But really, the best advice for surviving a shark attack is to stay calm, don't thrash around, and make yourself look big and threatening. But whatever you do, don't think you're going to win a boxing match against a creature that's been doing this for 450 million years. Number 4, playing dead against a bear. This one is a classic. You're walking through the woods, you see a bear, and you remember the popular advice: play dead. You drop to the ground, curl into a ball, and hope the bear loses interest. This advice is a death sentence if you're dealing with the wrong kind of bear. Black bears and brown bears react to human encounters very differently. Black bears are more easily intimidated and can often be scared off by shouting, making yourself look big, and a loud, aggressive display. But brown bears, like grizzlies, are much more territorial and dangerous. With a brown bear, playing dead is a good strategy. But how do you know which kind of bear you're dealing with? You don't. And your brain, in a moment of panic, is going to tell you to do the first thing you can think of. But getting it wrong could be fatal. The general advice is that if the bear is attacking for a defensive reason, like you've stumbled on its cubs, playing dead is the right call. But if the bear is attacking you as a food source, playing dead is the worst thing you can do. The truth is, the advice is so specific to the situation that it's almost useless. The only real survival advice is to make sure you never find yourself in that situation in the first place. Number 5, drinking your own urine. This is a classic trope in survival movies, a last-ditch effort to stay hydrated in a desert or at sea. It seems to make a kind of twisted sense. Your body has already filtered it, so it must be safe, right? Wrong. In reality, your urine is filled with waste products that your body has already decided it doesn't need, including a high concentration of salt. If you're dehydrated, your body is already holding on to as much water as it can, making your urine even more concentrated with these waste products. Reintroducing all that salt and urea into your system forces your kidneys to work even harder to filter it out, requiring even more water from your body to do so. In essence, you're not gaining any hydration. You're actively losing it. This cycle will accelerate your dehydration, leading to kidney failure and a much faster death. The best advice for dehydration is to find a clean source of water and drink it, no matter how little you find. The human body is a marvel of efficiency, but it's not a closed-loop recycling system. Number 6, 3 days without water. The so-called rule of threes is a popular piece of survival advice. You can survive for 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. This is a myth born of a gross oversimplification. While it's true that your body can go a few days without water, the idea that you can last 3 full days in any condition is a death trap. The 3 days figure is an absolute maximum, and it assumes you're in a perfect environment with no physical exertion. In the real world, if you're stranded in a hot desert, you'll be severely dehydrated in a matter of hours and likely dead within a day. Your body is a finely tuned machine, and it starts to fail the moment it doesn't have enough water. You'll lose your ability to reason, your muscles will start to cramp, and your brain will begin to swell. The rule is not a guideline for survival. It's a dangerous overestimation of your body's limits that will make you feel falsely secure. Number 7, eating what the animals eat. The logic seems so simple, right? You're lost in the wilderness, you're starving, and you see a bush full of berries that a bird is happily gobbling down. Your primitive brain kicks in and says, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. This is one of the oldest and most dangerous survival myths out there, and it's a guaranteed one-way ticket to a very bad time. You are not a bird. You are not a squirrel. Your digestive system is a finely tuned machine built for a very specific diet, and a squirrel's is not. What's a delicious, nutrient-rich meal for a woodland creature could be a violently toxic poison for you. A bird can happily consume the berries of a poison ivy plant, while even touching the leaves will give you a miserable rash. Rabbits can eat the leaves of a rhubarb plant, which are filled with a deadly poison called oxalic acid that will cause kidney failure in a human. The advice is a perfect example of a dangerous oversimplification. You can't just look at what's in the woods and decide to have a picnic with the local wildlife. The truth is, if you don't know what a plant is, you don't eat it. Your gut is not a zoo, and your body can't handle a surprise visit from a toxin it has no defense against. Number 8, the zigzag run. You're 100 feet from a swampy riverbank when you see it, a giant alligator eyeing you hungrily. Immediately, your brain screams at you to run, but a little voice in the back of your head remembers that old survival tip: run in a zigzag. They're too slow to turn. Congratulations, you just signed your own death warrant. Alligators and crocodiles are ambush predators. They're built for explosive bursts of speed in a straight line. But they are also incredibly agile. A human running a zigzag is not a challenging maneuver for them. It's a wasted effort. As you zig, you're slowing yourself down. As you zag, you're losing precious momentum. All the while, the reptile is running in a perfectly straight line, covering ground faster than you could ever hope to. They can reach speeds of up to 11 miles per hour on land, which is faster than the average human sprint. By the time you've completed your third awkward zig, you've exhausted yourself and the alligator has closed the distance. The proper survival advice is to run in a straight line as fast as humanly possible. Don't try to outsmart a predator that's been doing this for 100 million years. Number 9, starting a fire in a cave. It's a classic survival scenario. You're stranded, cold, and you find a cave. Your brain tells you it's the perfect shelter from the elements. A fire will keep you warm, keep animals away, and make you feel safe. So you build a fire right in the middle, and for a little while, everything is cozy. But a cave, it turns out, is a perfectly designed death trap when you add fire to it. You've just turned your cozy home into a chimney. The fire produces smoke and, more importantly, carbon monoxide. Without a clear path for the smoke to escape, it will fill the cave, suffocating you and your fellow survivors in a slow, agonizing process. Carbon monoxide is the most sinister part of this equation. It's a silent, odorless killer that bonds with your blood cells far more effectively than oxygen. It will put you to sleep and you'll never wake up. The cave isn't a sanctuary. It's a perfectly sealed death chamber, and you just lit the fuse. The best survival advice is to find a natural wind tunnel or build a shelter with a vent, but whatever you do, don't trap yourself in a cozy little prison. Number 10, sheltering under a tree. It's pouring rain, a storm is raging, and you see a massive, majestic oak tree. Your first instinct is to get under it to stay dry. This is one of the oldest and most consistently fatal pieces of bad survival advice in the world. A tree is a giant, living lightning rod. In an open field or a sparse forest, it is the tallest object around, and electricity follows the path of least resistance. When a lightning bolt strikes a tree, it will travel through the trunk and roots. If you are anywhere near it, the electrical current will jump from the tree directly into you. You are, in effect, a delicious, high water content side course for the main electrical dish. The tree isn't protecting you. It's luring you in with the false promise of shelter. The real survival advice is to get away from tall objects, crouch low to the ground with your feet together, and become a small, unappealing target. But don't ever trust a tree to save you from a thunderstorm. Number 11, the stay put rule. You're lost, you're cold, you're tired, and you remember that old saying, if you get lost, stay put. The logic is that it makes it easier for search and rescue teams to find you. While this advice works perfectly if you are on a known hiking trail or near a road, it's a death sentence if you are truly lost in an unknown location. Staying put, waiting for a savior that might not come, puts you in a state of passive helplessness. You're not actively seeking food, water, or shelter. You're not trying to find a high point to signal from or a landmark to follow. The stay put rule is a psychological trap that turns you into a sitting duck. It tells you to turn off your survival instincts and put your faith in a system that might not even know you're missing. The truth is, the best survivalists are active. They create clear signals, they find better sources of water, and they make themselves as visible as possible. Passivity in a survival situation is a dangerous gamble.